Right now, let's discuss about cost estimation method and budgeting basics. Okay, the first thing that we need to understand is what is cost estimation. So this one predicts total expenses for a project, including labor, materials, equipment, and indirect costs. Let's talk about importance of cost estimation. So importance of predicting the total cost of your budget, importance of predicting that one. Number one, it is you are able to secure funding. So you can easily find people who can fund your project. Let's say you're having a land restoration project, right? Or a fisheries project. Once you're able to do your estimations properly, you can have some organizations which can be able to fund your project. Okay, another one is that there is efficiency resource management. So once you have got that cost estimation, you can manage your resources efficiently. Another one, prevent budget overruns. So that is another importance of trying to predict the cost of your project. Okay, let's talk about cost estimation methods. Number one, we have got analog estimating. So this one, it is based on historical data. So you're trying to use the information, similar information which some people used in the past. This one, it is quick, but usually it is less accurate, right? Because you can find that maybe sometimes in the past things were a bit cheaper than the time than the cost of that the same things at that particular moment. Okay. Example, using past project as a reference. So that is what we are talking on analog estimating. Another one, it is parametric. So on parametric, you're talking of statistical model based on variables, right? So you're talking of a statistical model based on what? Variables. So here you are dealing with numbers. Okay. For example, you are constructing a house, right? Then you are saying that each house, the total cost for constructing a single house, let's say it is $5,000, right? And you are supposed to construct 20 units or 20 houses, right? So for you to calculate using parametric estimation, you simply say $5,000 multiplied by 20 units, which is giving you around $100,000. Okay, another method is bottom up estimating. So this one detailed breakdown of tasks. So you are trying to break down the tasks into details for you to be able to find the cost. So this one is most accurate but time intensive because you are trying to break down the whole of your project to say in our project we have got this piece, right? You are trying to do what we call work breakdown structure. So you are trying to each work breakdown structure you are trying to cost that one. So by the end of the day, it is time consuming. Okay, so we are still continuing on the methods. Number 4, 3-point estimating. So this is another method. It uses optimistic, pessimistic, and most likely scenario, right? So we have got on 3-point. we use this particular formula. So this particular formula, it is very much similar to that one which we are also using to estimate time, right? That was on program evaluation review technique, right? It was also using the very same formula, right? On PERT, right? It was using similar formula. So you can also find, we are finding the same formula on also estimating the cost, right? So that is it. So this one we are saying that is optimistic time, optimistic cost plus 4M. M, that is most likely cost, right? Plus P, that is the pessimistic cost, right? So that is what we need to understand on that one. Okay, so we have got an example there on on optimistic cost. That means that is the cost, that is the lowest cost, right? So this one, the optimistic cost, that is the lowest cost for a project whenever things have gone just smoothly, right? So that is the optimistic cost. So for example, that one has been given like $5,000, right? Then M, most likely to say if things are just normal, right? Challenges are not there, it is not that very smooth, but it is just normal. It will cost around $6,000, right? Then pessimistic cost. Let's say your project has encountered a lot of challenges. What do you think can be the cost of that particular project, right? Then from there, you try to punch in those numbers into that particular formula. So after trying to calculate, the answer was found that it is $6,166.67. Right. So the other thing that we need to bear in mind is that if we're talking of optimistic, pessimistic, and most likely, these ones these are numbers you would try to think, right? Having experience in project management, so you just try to look at your project and try to say, if my project is running in an ideal situation where we are not finding any challenge, it can cost us $5,000, right? If my project is running just normally, yes, challenges are there, yes, it is moving with some smoothness, right? So it is just between optimistic and pessimistic, right? So that is that means it is normal. That's normal scenario. Then you say it is 6,000. Then you say if my project can encounter a lot of challenges, likely it can go up to 8,000. So that is another point, a very important point that we need to understand on optimistic, pessimistic, and most likely scenario. Okay, another method is expert judgment. So this one is based on professional input, right? So experts are supposed to do that one. Okay, useful when no data is available, but less reliable, right? It is useful when no data is available but less reliable. So this one, it is done by those guys who are experts in this one, so they can even do it when there is even no data. Okay, let's talk about budgeting. What is it? So this one, it says allocating resources to cover all project costs. So budgeting is when you are trying now to allocate the resources to cover all the cost. Okay, characteristics of a budget. It is supposed to be comprehensive, right? So it is supposed to cover all direct and indirect costs. Another one, it is it's supposed to be realistic. it should reflect achievable limits, right? It should be very realistic, not to say, but is this true? But it should be something that can really be done on the ground. Flexible. It should be able to adapt to changes. So if changes might arise, you should expect that your budget should also be able to change. Okay, steps to creating a budget. Number one, identify direct and indirect cost. Use cost estimation method. That means you are going to choose between all the cost estimation method which we have mentioned. So you choose which will be the best for you as a project manager and in case of your scenario. Okay, another one you use another one you need to add contingency reserve. That contingency reserve is supposed to be between 5 to 10%. So contingency is supposed to be around that figure. So another one is allocate resources. So after doing that, you need to allocate your resources properly. Another one, you should monitor adjustment. So in a case where there will be a need for adjustment, you should have that time when you should have that time for monitoring, so that you can be able to adjust your budget. Let's talk about budgeting best practices and common mistakes. So we are starting with best practices. Number one, involve stakeholders for accuracy. So by the end of the day, every stakeholder, right? Every level of a stakeholder, every stakeholder should be involved. Okay. Another one, you should use tools to track spending. So you should be able to use different tools to track your spending. Okay, by the end of the day, you should be able to regularly review your budget and be able to update it. Maintain transparency. That means everybody should be aware of how your budget is moving. Plan risks and contingencies. So you should have that contingency of 5 to 10%. Common mistakes: underestimating cost or ignoring indirect expenses. Right, so these are some of the most mistakes which you as a project manager you can make, where you are trying to underestimate. Instead of putting the right cost, then you try to underestimate, or you ignore some indirect costs. Failing to update budget with project changes. So you understand that the project has changed, but you are failing to update your budget. Let's say there is a devaluation of your currency in your country. So if there is devaluation of currency, likely there will be a need for you to change your budget, but you find that you are failing to update it. Overestimating resources, leading to tied up funds. So by the end of the day, you are overestimating resources, and by the end of the day, you find yourself that you have got some funds which have almost nowhere to be allocated to. Right. Thank you so much.